A-League aspirations. He's playing against Northern Maine tonight.
May adil ka sir. Just feeling mo.
There, so
Sir, balik ko ni
very,
motor
very
ko
nice
ba?
of a player who's just
Aman.
come out of the A-League up against a player who's able to get in. We see
Gisigin pa rin.
Sumo
At yan,
Oro
survive.
as a corner kick for Melbourne
Tandem.
Knights.
Ay.
Katungin is.
But your early prediction certainly seems like it's that play. Knights definitely quite expansive early on.
Let's see yan.
Definitely not afraid to take it to Oakley.
Sweet on.
Padong.
Padong.
This might be another end corner. He's going to go to Giselle. Can he get a better shot this time round? It's a bit of an air swing again, or a shank to be frank. Barno goes searching. Ott couldn't control it down. Long searching ball for Lucas. Irana couldn't hit well. Jack Mark on the ball goes to Sumo Oro. Back to Mark. Of course, it's the son of coached Jack's current coach, Ben, over a number of years at Knights Stadium. And I'm going to say Melbourne Knights, for a club of its stature, I mentioned at the start, two-time national champions, definitely one of the clubs that would be presumed aspirants, you've got to say, for a potential second division. They haven't really had the best time in the NPL era, and even before that, during the VPL days, they had a really good team back towards the late 2000s under the Oakley Cannons manager Chris Taylor. They made the 2008 grand final, which they lost to Altona. That was a very strong team featuring the likes of Ivan Franic, Cameron Watson, Tommy Milanovic, old NSL heads like Joseph Pateri, Alex Kiratsoglu, youngsters like Daniel Visovic, Anthony Pelican as well, another player from the Knights NSL era. But since their time in the VPL/NPL, out of a possible 15 attempts, they've only made the finals 4 times. So we see Sumaro on the ball, but it's well intercepted there. Not for long, he's won it back. Albano on the ball, takes the shot, but it goes safely into the arms of Nick Feely. And Oscar, I need to ask you about the Knights' continued struggles at this level. What do you put them down to? What do you put it down to?
Just acknowledging that, your status as the walking Victorian football encyclopedia that we've rattled off countless names from over a decade ago. Yeah, it is one of those really interesting things that I think is a source of frustration for a lot of Knights fans, the fact that they're not perhaps, or they haven't met the standards that you'd perhaps expect.
As Lucas almost got himself on the ball, but it's been intercepted here by Marv, who's driving forward. Holmes did well with an outstretched tackle to win possession back for the Cannons. Continue on, Oscar.
I was just going to point out that it's probably frustrating for fans of Melbourne Knights the way that whilst they haven't achieved what we'd have expected them, they also haven't been a complete disaster by any means. They haven't regularly been right at the bottom where things are so clearly wrong, as we see the offside flag raised in this instance. But, just kind of internally or seemingly perennially in that mediocre position in the middle of the pack, so I can't really give you a solid explanation or an answer for what's limiting the Knights up to this point. We know the stature of the club, and they do have the potential to go further. We've seen them sack multiple coaches over the last few years, and Steve Beveridge, I thought, did a serviceable job. And clearly, in the end, it wasn't quite reaching the heights that the Knights are rightly hoping for.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting ones, because you kind of think, 3 rounds remaining. Knights actually have a catch-up game against Gully to also play, so 4 games remaining in the season. It's not curious, because I think if things stay as they are, they'd still be safe, but they probably need just one more win to be sure, as we see referee Luke Camilleri bring the ball back for a foul on Knowles. But yeah, it's an interesting one, because my first thought was just let Steve see out the season, but we also don't have a great idea of what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe it was a mutual decision, maybe it was actually, Beveridge came to the club board and wanted to sit down. So, yeah, it's disappointing way through his tenure at Knights to end. But the one thing you've got to say, apart from 2017, they haven't really been in trouble of relegation. They've always been comfortably mid-table and not in that relegation scrap beat. But yeah, I suppose, you know, if you're a Melbourne Knights supporter, you'd be a bit more demanding of the club to, you know, put a better showing at this level. Definitely better than, you know, what they've been over the last few years. They've had, you know, impressive spells of form. You know, I remember back when AUSTRALIANPL took over the club in 2018, they definitely had bursts of form in that season that suggested that they were a finals team, ultimately didn't make it. Mickey Chollinder the following season got off to a good start as Knights coach, but then the season, midway through, derailed. He got replaced. As we see Chris Lucas on the ball here. Swing it in. Zopoulos crosses it in. Clark gets his head on it. Might need to take two. Guest. Great block there by, looks like Taylor Shrivers put his body behind the ball and prevented what was surely an opportunity that would have been on target, as the long searching ball goes into looking for Sumaoro, but Feely was quick to it.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant block from indeed the Kiwi Taylor Shrivers on the Joe Guest shot. I'll go back to you, Dummy.
Clark has been played through and he narrowly misses it. In fact, the Knights have done well there. I believe it's Manos got something on the ball and he's diverted away for a corner kick. Continue away.
They're living dangerously are the Knights. It was a wonderful block from Taylor Shrivers, but also what a ball from Anthony Pantazopoulos from the left-hand side for that first attack. Pinpoint, plenty of pace and shape on the ball. So hard to defend those kinds of deliveries, and we're perhaps seeing this opening machine get into its stride a bit more. It's danger time for the Knights. I think it'll be important that they see out this next 5 or so minutes to really get into the meat of the game with their clean sheet intact.
Indeed, as we see Joe Knowles about to take this corner. Swings it in. Knights get a head on it. Check there from Kubalai. Go Williams. Albano did well to get his way in front of the ball and Guest inadvertently perhaps handballed it. And Albano and the Knights coaching staff definitely let the AR1 know that it was a handball in case there was any doubt. Another long searching ball finds its way into the hands of Feely. Tyson Holmes definitely playing a bit deeper than usual in the centre of defence. I guess Oakley have been savaged by numerous injuries in defence to the likes of Oscar Dillon, Jacob Eliopoulos and Hamish Miller. And you do wonder what that's going to do to their aspirations of winning the championship. Monday's result all but confirmed really South as the premiers after 26 rounds. I think South, what is it, one more win? And they've got a good chance tomorrow. But yeah, I'd still fancy Oakley in a game between the two at full strength though. So we see Knights have broken away here on Albano, and he's missed the sitter. Gian Albano couldn't have had a better opportunity to score. Great work by Ott, and he fluffed his lines in front of goal as Sumaro consoles him.
Yeah, the only thing I can't believe is that we haven't seen a goal yet in the first 17 minutes of this game. I mean, both sides with gilt-edged chances. First, we saw the chance for Clark for Oakley, where he was one-on-one, albeit on a bit of a tight angle, so well done to the Knights goalkeeper Thomas Manos for closing the space down and getting a touch on that. But what an opportunity for Gian Albano, a proven goal scorer at this level. We know he's better than out. He'll expect better from himself than what we just saw at that moment. But as you say, wonderful play from George Ott to force the turnover high up the pitch and then create the opportunity. And if they keep creating those kinds of chances tonight, then it will only be a matter of time until they open the scoring in this one.
Yes, no doubt. Now, we've spoken about the front line for Oakley with the likes of Knowles, Clark and Chris Lucas, but their top goal scorer for the season is Wade Decker. Now, where is Wade Decker tonight?
Wade Decker's on the bench tonight, W. It's perhaps not too surprising to see that kind of rotation happen, considering how often Oakley have been playing over the last couple of weeks. So I guess that's just a sacrifice that you have to make. But I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see at least a bit of it in the second half, especially if Oakley are still looking for perhaps a way in front.
Siapa si Justin, si Egi,
Back to Fashini. Kubalai, Guest, Scott, Clark making a run, Knowles, and again, more industrious work from the Oakley Cannons attack to formulate that move. See, this will be Guest now on this. Right hand side delivery on his left. Goes to Guest.
Siapa kebetulan dan dilakukan. Saya manis, saya marius dan melalui.
Almost diverted there. Kubalai plays in Lucas, who's dropped the shoulder, cuts it back, cleared. Fashini, cleared again. Handball shouts. Shot. Our angle here, but Manos once again had to be aware. In fact, that was Panzopoulos on the left-hand side, who's had an impressive start going forward, the youngster. He's the beneficiary of that Hamish Miller injury. Guest is going to put it in once again.
Work so far in this game from Thomas Manos, most notably that save that we just... saw there, as well as the one earlier from the Clark opportunity. He is one of the outstanding players in the Knights 11. I do just want to make the point, it's interesting, or it will be interesting to see how the Knights try and play out from the back here. There was a move earlier. Play from defence to attack has been perhaps the key area where the Knights have struggled so far this season.
Clark, soft side though, prevented a potential tap in as he rounded Manos. Hatchman.
Otto Sope, nomor 1, nomor 2.
Not much support there. He's headed it forward. The Oakley bench, who is just about to walk past us here. Joining Decker is Lachlan Hart, second choice goalkeeper, Stephen Sakalarios, Nick Neagorian, and Ryan Losty, the former Eastern Lions midfielder. Knowles on the ball. But Albano's done well there. Marcia had to intervene and get it back to Williams. Holmes, the former NPL Victoria gold medalist. Also, sorry, gold medal winner. Lucas has the ball here. Lucas searching ball in. again was trying to find Clark, but Shrivers did quite well to get the defensive header away, and there's a foul there on Jack Marth, which means that the Knights will retain possession.
Yeah, well, unsurprising to see plenty of chances being created by Oakley from the two flanks. The crosses from out wide, they are the team that has executed more crosses than any other in this division so far in 2022. So whether it be Pantazopoulos or Knowles or anyone else, they've got quality out wide. Lucas, we just saw in that moment, and that's something that the Knights will have to be very much wary of if they're going to keep their defensive shape intact.
And we had a brief moment there where two balls were actually on the park before one of the marshals intervened, and I see that you've read your Optus stats, Oscar. Shrivers find Manane here on the left, right in front of us. Actually, were, I think, quite a few NPL Victoria clubs interested in the services of Manane before he joined Melbourne Knights, including Dandenong City, who probably could have used him in the last few weeks. Oh, dangerous header back, but luckily Feely ran onto it and diverted away from Luca Corlidge, who chased it. Ball there by Fashini, couldn't find the man. Manane intervened, he's short shot. Made an impressive start to life at Knight Stadium. Cross took a deflection off Fashini, and that slowed it into the path of Nick Feely. Zopoulos goes in search of Daniel Clark, but Marth intervenes. Giselle. Back to Marth. Can't go back to Giselle, so it's Aiden Bryce at centre back, and here's Manos. So Shrivers are not the two Kiwis. New Zealand's always been a pretty good recruitment ground for the Knights. And you think of the likes of Hamish Watson, Mohammed Awad, even back about 10 years ago, Louis Fenton, before he made his A-League debut for the Knicks. He played for the Knights in the 2012 VPL season, as Arada Kunda's going to pick up the first yellow card of the game for brash tackle there on Joe Knowles. It's the second time he's been down tonight. Looks like he's going to get up. Just one of those ones where he gets the ball first. Arada Kunda has committed, and the former Western United man commits the foul, which sees referee Luke Camilleri go into his notebook for the first time tonight. Guest will deliver. See what he can do. It's been cleared away though by Ott. Only as far as Knowles. And Shrivers, sorry, Mark it was, who had to stand tall and divert away for a corner kick.
And look, I think this and so much of the pressure that Oakley are building at the moment on the Knights' goal comes from how difficult it has been for the Knights to play out from the back. Oakley put so much pressure on the numbers that they have forward in the Knights' half.
Corner kick. It's been cleared by Ott. Half-hearted shouts for a penalty by the Oakley players, or some of them at least, for a handball. Dismissed. Guest finds himself on the ball. 1-2 with Barcia, but he's touched too heavy, and Giselle intercepts. Here's Albano to Manane. Manane up against two, and Williams clears away. Another former A-League man, Aaron Williams. Of course, he was with the Perth Glory. His brother Brian has joined the Glory ahead of this season, and Reese, of course, formerly at the club, as well as Victory and Wanderers. Proud footballing family, and one of only a few Australian football families that's seen three brothers play internationally. Can you think of many others, Oscar?
Gee, you put me on the spot, dummy. Oh, I need to take a minute with that one.
There's one, I wouldn't say it's an obvious answer because you have to go back a few years, but there was three brothers who, I don't think they ever played at the same time, but they all did play for the same club over, some of them even over, or one of them at least, over multiple spells. And who knows, maybe this season with Adelaide United, we might see the third Toure debut for the Reds. So we see Manane has found himself free on the ball here. Manane with the shot, but it's tame and it's not going to trouble Feely as it comfortably rolls away for a goal kick.
I mean, there's a way of evading answering your question, Damir. I would just like to talk about briefly how difficult it is for the Knights. I've mentioned it a few times to progress the ball, but you see Anthony Giselle and Thierry Radicunta feeling the need to drop back deeper and effectively be in line with their back four because the actual middle of the park, there are so few Knights players in that area very often, and Oakley have just taken up all the space. So the Knights are forced to resort to long balls over the top or going long down the wings, and that's what's making this so tough for the Knights, and the opportunities that they're creating aren't comparable to what Oakley generated, which is the product of some really excellent ball players throughout the pitch.
Long kick out by Feely, attempted to find Guest but couldn't do so. And it'll be interesting, Oakley, obviously a 4-day turnaround from Monday night, which was quite common for the likes of Bulleen Lions and Kingston City during their spells in the top flight. Of course, that game against Bentley, normally a Friday night game, but presumably moved to Monday night because of that game the Cannons had against the Bonnie Rig White Eagles, which ended up being quite a comfortable win for them in the end. Going into it, he thought, away trip against the NPL2 side from New South Wales at their home ground in front of a moderate crowd, maybe they might make it difficult, but the Cannons did supremely well to come away with a dominant win in what's been a fairly good showing from Victorian clubs so far this Australia Cup campaign. I mean, you take away Heidelberg's 3-1 defeat, the other three have all won, and am I missing someone? Bentley, sorry, the other four have won. Because I was like, there was definitely three Victorian teams involved last week, and Bentley made hard work of it against very inspired Broadmeadow Magic goalkeeper that took him into extra time. We see Manane looks for College, but Feely again got there first. But even Heidelberg, after the first 90 seconds, we thought this is going to be a long night, but they definitely made a game of it, particularly early on in that second half. Ellis hit the crossbar, won the penalty, got the goal through Petrados, but they just couldn't hold on, conceded shortly afterwards, and then Nikola Miluznic's sublime free kick made it 3-1. As we see Albano do well to win the ball, tackle goes in, referee says ball was won. As was it there? No, it's not. And College is unhappy with that one. He thought he used his body legally. Referee disagreed. Knights bench furious that the call on Albano was play on because they thought there was an initial foul there, and then College went in quite hard there, but thought he won it fairly.
Allow the play to progress and to keep going and not pulling up and stopping the flow every time that there's any kind of coming together. So I would tend to lean on the side of supporting the referee's judgment across those instances, even though eventually he did obviously feel the need to stop the play. I did just want to touch as well on, you were talking about the Australia Cup fixtures and the fact that Oakley did end up coming away with a quite comfortable win in New South Wales, but I think that we perhaps did see the effect of travel in their game against Bentley, although Bentley went to the 120 minutes. I'll go back to you for this chance though.
Albano up against Williams, the two Perth boys come together, but Williams has done well there and he's earned himself a free kick, getting in that frontal position as we see Fashini here, launching it long in search of Knowles, but Shriver's did well again to get his head there, in between it, and goes to Giselle. Sumo Oro wins the throw-in off Panzopoulos. Now, speaking of that comprehensive Cannons win in the western suburbs of Sydney, there is an interesting fact about one of the Cannons players, and I'll name you which player it is. It's Chris Lucas, that was confirmed on the evening. Do you want to take a guess as to what it is?
Talk about an open-ended question, W. I've got to be honest, I've got no idea. Hit me.
Okay, so Chris Lucas, with a goal in that game, actually took himself to 9 Australia Cup goals in the competition's history. This is main national round. And with that, he's actually the highest scoring NPL player. He's one ahead of both Patrick Antelmi, who's at Sydney United, so he's got a chance to increase his goal tally in the Australia Cup, as well as Liam Boland, who also has 8 goals. So that'll be an interesting one throughout the course of Oakley's Australia Cup game to see if Chris Lucas can be the first player to go into double figures, or whether it's going to be Boland or Antelmi. As we see Corlidge, he's on the ball here, goes back to Manane. Manane crosses in, but it's only as far as Holmes, goes to Knowles, now Guest, Oakley looking to counter. Knowles, crisp on the ball, goes to Clark, back here to Knowles. Scott Manane chasing him. Knowles keeping control of the ball. But Manane did well. It's still going to be an Oakley throw-in though.
Yeah, and I'll say this just as Oakley are, of course, about to have another opportunity. I think credit to the Knights for the way that they've responded over the last 10 minutes or so. It did look like Oakley were really building momentum and putting them under the cosh, but they've responded well and started to break up the plays more often and put some of their own pressure on. So I think they've done a really good job at re-establishing their foothold in this contest, although they do, of course, still have 10 more minutes to see out.
And if you're a Knights fan, let's hope the commentator's curse doesn't strike. It'll be an Oakley ball. Is Guest so clever on the ball, goes to Fashini in search of Clark. Manos, hearts in mouths moments for Knights fans for a split second there, but he wasn't under any pressure once he had that initial spill and was comfortably able to retrieve it at the second attempt.
Wonderful Chris Lucas stat you just gave us all, Dummy, and I think that's a well-deserved accolade for a really impressive player over many years, Chris Lucas, and of course this season he's formed a really important aspect of this Oakley attacking unit, I think, especially considering how many games they've played, and over the last few weeks especially, we've seen him get plenty of football and plenty of involvement, and he's shown himself to be a more than apt contributor to what is one of the most lethal attacks in the whole of the country, really.
And with those 9 goals, he's actually, Oakley would be team number 4 that he's played for. So we see an offside call against that man, Lucas, who neatly puts it into the back of the net, but he just didn't time his run. The Knights fans giving it to Joe Guest. Must say, you know, late June, single-digit temperatures on a cold Friday night. It's always a tough sell, and looking at the crowd, I'd say it's probably just over 200. You play this fixture in the earlier months of the season or in the earlier rounds, and I guarantee you're getting, over 500 people.
And I was telling you before the game, Dummy, that I did leave my puffer jacket at home in what is an absolutely amateur era for these kinds of evenings. So I'm hopefully being kept warm by the football on the park, and so far that has been the case.
Oscar, it's late July. Come on. You're a seasoned campaigner by now. You're not a rookie. You should have known. But interestingly, I was about to say before he had that goal ruled out for offside, Chris Lucas, I believe Oakley is the 4th team he's played for in the Australia Cup national round after
Full kerja
Palm Beach Sharks, who later became Gold Coast City and are now defunct, as we say
Apa
play
pandai
on the ball, cuts
Huh?
it across,
Apa pandai ni?
and Williams' slice clearance luckily
Dia mati
didn't go into the
balik.
path of Albano, and Oakley's able to clear. And long clearance goes in search of Clark. Shrivers will have to be wary, and he does well. Goes crossfield to Bryce. Giselle. Knights have a bit of space to work with here.
Martin Masian bos.
Out to the right-hand side. Sumaro.
Huh?
Twisting and turning, and he's took across, took a touch there off
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Pansopoulos, and that diverted its way to the path of Feely. Knights back on the ball. Radakunda. Giselle.
Ay, ata jaya.
Knee turn, but then he slipped, and he's got himself into a bit of a pickle because Clark has come away with the ball, goes in search of Lucas, who stayed on side this time. Lucas, cross, Manane, gets it clear, Clark, miss-hits his volley, and ultimately the Knights can clear through Radakunda here. To Odd. Odd does well. He's gone in search of Albano. Let's see how he goes. Take two. Albano couldn't get his feet quite right. Goes again, but it's blocked. Another missed opportunity for the Knights attacker. Now, we've had a few stats tonight, and this one we can thank our good friend Lockie Flanagan, fellow NPL Victoria bowler, who says that Gian Albano needs one more goal to tie Stipo under the Ushovich's all-time